Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel, Second Act Cat RN. And as you may know, I am a 64-year-old registered nurse, and I am in the process of changing careers and trying to decide what I'm going to do with this next chapter in my life. So this video today is the second in a series of videos talking about something that a lot of older folks know all too well. And it is about the elephant in the room. There's an elephant in the room of pretty much every older adult's life, especially if you're nearing retirement or if you've got medical issues where you're not able to work. And a lot of people that are going through issues will have these thoughts about that elephant that's in the room. And one of those, as you can hear on my first video of this series, was about loneliness and social isolation. So today's topic is going to be about loss of independence. So your loss of functional independence, which means you've lost some of the ability, if not all of the ability, to carry out your activities of daily living. Those would include feeding yourself. They're not limited to these, and these are not all inclusive, but feeding yourself when you've lost that ability, say if you're a patient with dementia of some sort. Other activities of daily living that may be compromised would be the ability to toilet yourself, or performing housekeeping duties or washing dishes, or any kind of functional independence that you may have. A lot of times older folks have lost some of their physical ability to move, or they're limited in what they're able to do physically. So some of these activities of daily living, or ADLs, have gone by the wayside. You've lost your ability to, say, dress yourself or pick out your clothing, maybe because you can't bend over and put your socks on, or put a pair of pants on, or maybe you can't reach overhead and pull your shirt on. You may be in a wheelchair that limits your ability to do these functional activities. And these are things that people think about as they're aging. I think about that occasionally, like, what if I lost my ability to, say, prepare my own meals, or drive? What if I've lost my ability to drive my car? If I physically cannot do it, or I'm constantly having wrecks as an older person, it might be time to take away my driver's license, or your driver's license, or your driving privileges. So these are things that a lot of older people think about, and they are very real. So they don't mention these things to family members or other people. I know I haven't mentioned to my daughter or my family that sometimes I think about, what if I have to have an in-home caregiver to help me with these things? Sometimes I think about that, but I'm thinking about it happening way far in the future, because in my mind, I'm not there yet. I have some things that I can't do, like upkeep to my yard for the most part, because of injuries I sustained from a work-related accident. But as far as getting older and feeling like you've lost the ability, or thinking about, what if I lose that ability to do these ADLs, who's going to help me with it? I don't want my daughter to see me worry about stuff like that. I don't know why. I guess I'm too proud as a mom. And I've been independent the majority of my life, especially almost all of my adult life. And the thought of losing that independence, I don't like that thought. I don't like to talk about it. I don't really want to think about it. But these are things that elderly or older people do start to think about. We don't mention these things to anybody. We might to our very close friends, but a lot of times these are things that are kept secret. So they become that elephant in the room. You see that, but nobody else knows that that's what your thoughts are about, or that's what you're struggling with thinking about. So some of the things, and I have some notes over here, the loss of independence can lower the quality of life, and people that have lost their independence are prone to depression and an earlier death. So a lot of these things, depression leads to feelings of despair, and a lot of people with depression develop a lot of comorbidities or a lot of medical issues that the depression does contribute to directly. So having these secrets about this big elephant in the room and losing your independence, that can play on the mind and can lead to loneliness and depression. So we talked about loneliness in the first video. So this can lead to that as well as other things. So depression can lead to loss of independence, and vice versa. Loss of independence can lead to depression. So we want to get, if we can, as an older person, encourage that older person in your life to seek out maybe counseling or therapy. I know that's not the answer to everything, but sometimes it can put things more into perspective to where that risk for depression or death from loss of independence can be minimized. Some other things about loss of independence can be thoughts about getting older, and that leading to falls. A lot of older people experience more falls because of their limits on what they're physically able to do. A lot of times, people that lose their independence, they might start shuffling, especially people with dementia. You might start shuffling, and that shuffling can lead to tripping over rugs or tripping over your own feet and leading to falls. So the loss of independence for someone that's thinking about their future, those are scary thoughts, because I don't want to be one of those people that because I've lost my mobility, I am more susceptible to tripping or falling. And I don't want to think about that, but these are thoughts that we have. I know when a long time ago, I used to store a bunch of items in my attic. I've since cleaned that out several years ago, so I don't have to go up there. But even at that time, when I was under the age of 60, I would kind of be a little hesitant to go up in my attic without my cell phone, because what if I fell, or what if who knows what? These are things that we think about as we're getting older. I know years ago, when I first started thinking about what if I fall, or what if something happens if I'm out in my yard doing yard work. So I would always take my phone, and I know this is kind of silly, but it was me thinking ahead that if I were to fall and I couldn't get up, and I could drag myself to my porch or to somewhere, drag myself across the yard to a chair perhaps, I would always leave my phone, and I still do, in a low area, maybe on my deck, where if I couldn't stand up, if I broke a leg and I'm dragging myself, I could reach my phone from that position. I didn't have to climb steps or anything. So I know that sounds really weird and sounds like a little bit of paranoia maybe, or fear, but you do start thinking about loss of independence, and you do start trying to plan ways to combat that. Let's say if you fall and you injure yourself, just like I was describing, you want your phone to be at a lower level so you can reach it. So these elephants in the room, these are things I may have only told one or two of my older friends who experienced the same thoughts, but I've not said anything to my family or just in general about it. I haven't let on pretty much, because it's almost embarrassing to think of, oh my goodness, I'm at that age. I'm at that age where I have to start thinking about what happens if such and such happens. So what do I do if this happens? So I know I'm not the only one that thinks that, but to a younger person, it may seem like, oh, you're just worrying too much. But there are things that do happen outside that you do have to worry about. You do have to worry about safety issues. They happen inside as well. So I do keep my phone on a lower table to where if I did fall and again drag myself, I could reach my phone. I know in one instance when my mom was alive many years ago, she was getting out of her car in her garage to go into the house, and her ankle, her bones gave way. She went down and she was in her garage on the floor. Her phone was in her car, but she couldn't drag herself to her car. She had a trimalleolar fracture. So she had broken 3 bones in the shin that connects to the ankle. So she had to lay there and yell. She yelled for an hour or 2, I believe, and a neighbor finally heard her and came over. So she knew her phone was in her car, but she couldn't reach it. We can't foresee all things that could happen or the potential for something to happen, but we do think about it, and we do need to be a little bit more prepared for when something does happen. So that loss of independence is very real. That elephant in the room, there it is. It's real. So that is just a second elephant in the room. Loneliness was the first that I talked about, and then the second elephant in the room is the loss of independence. So I will have more topics in subsequent videos that relate to elephants in the room for older people. So please stay tuned. Drop a comment below. Let us know what's going on in your life and what issues or what elephants you're dealing with at this point. So I will see you in the next video. Take care.